I want to use this beautiful setting to share with you what I consider to be one of my most important messages. And that is, none of us have as long as we think, both on earth, but also just being healthy and being able to enjoy things like this. You know, as I'm here, you know, people are out there taking surfing lessons. I was surfing earlier in the day. You know, I won't be able to do that forever, and the reality is none of us will be able to do that. So unfortunately, we have less time to live. None of us know how long we have to live, and we have less healthy time. This is not a beach in Southern California. This is a beach in Guatemala. It's called El Paredon, and it's kind of difficult to get here. So could I make this trip in my 70s or my 80s? I probably could, but I hope I'll be out surfing, but I probably won't. And there would be easier places for me to get an experience like this, and it's the same for all of us. The World Health Organization shares that the average American is going to have a serious health issue by the time they're 66.1 years old. That's just 13 months past when most of us in the United States retire. And I don't know about you, but I want a heck of a lot more than 13 months of healthy active time and kind of a reward for, you know, all the work that we did and all the responsibilities that we had. And I want to be able to enjoy this chapter, and I know you do as well. And that's why I think today's topic is so important. We don't have as much time. None of us know how long until we die, right? I mean, my uncle passed away when he was in his mid-50s of a heart issue. My father had his first heart attack in his mid-50s as well. Fortunately, he survived it. I'm 60 and I have not had a heart attack yet. You know, my cardiologist tells me it's just a matter of time, and I'm doing everything I can. And I'm glad I'm doing everything that I can, because, you know, when my moment comes to, you know, be in the back of an ambulance and going to the hospital and not knowing if I'm going to make it or not, you know, A, I want to know that I did everything I could to survive that situation. But B, I want to know that, you know, I did the things that I wanted to do when I could do it. Because as a financial advisor for over 20 years, one of the toughest things for me to hear from any client is, you know, hey, Azul, I never got to do this. I wish I had done this. And, you know, I hate to say it, but it's much more common than any of us think. You know, probably half of my clients were in that situation. You know, they thought that we were going to have more time. I think we all think we're going to have more time. And then it gets taken away from us, and it gets taken away from us pretty quickly. So it's important that, you know, we invest time in our health. We invest time, you know, eating as well as we can, buying healthy groceries. You know, they can be more expensive. Maybe having somebody help us with meal prep. Anything that we can do to stay healthy, joining a gym, maybe using a fitness trainer. So it's A, on the health side, and then B, on the, you know, on the time side. You know, how do we want to use the time that we have? And, you know, one of the other common areas or regrets that I hear people talk about is maybe they had an issue with a family member. There was a relationship that they wish that they had repaired that unfortunately they had not. So, you know, just spending time with people that we care and love about. And that's one of the nice things about being able to retire when you're younger, is it gives us the freedom and the flexibility to take care of aging relatives that, you know, maybe we wish we could help out more, but when we're working, we're balancing a lot of balls. And yeah, people are fearful of retiring. You know, they're fearful of, okay, what would I do when I retire? And, you know, maybe you have an aging parent that you'd like to help out, but what do you do outside of that? You know, is that going to be everything, or is there going to be something else? And particularly with my male clients, men tend to have a harder time thinking about, you know, what am I going to do in retirement? What does that 24 hours a day look like in retirement? And how am I going to spend my time? But you know, the reality is we all have to think about this at some point. Unless we're going to work until the day we die, at some point we have to transition. And so I think better to do that sooner. You know, once you can financially afford to retire, better to do that sooner rather than waiting and then making it through that transition. And 80% of my clients do make it through that transition successfully. And then saying, you know what, it's really good. I actually really like being retired, right? It's just normal that when you've worked for 20, 30, 40 years, that it's hard to think about what does your life look like outside of work. But you know, there is life after work. And most people find, you know, a really enjoyable period of time in retirement, and they, you know, it's like this sunset here, right? It's this magic hour that takes place, and as I get older, I want to make sure that I'm looking good for you on camera. I'm just kidding. I don't worry too much about that. But it's the magic hour, right? But the magic hour is fleeting. And so is our magic hour of retirement. And I want to make sure that you get the most out of your magic hour, and I hope it's many, many hours. We don't know. You know, the average 60-year-old has less than 1,000 weeks of healthy, active time in front of them. And frankly, that's pretty optimistic, right? I mentioned earlier the World Health Organization and what they say that we're going to have. It's not going to be as much. It's not going to be as much as what we think. In fact, the average American, you know, 13 months after 65, they have a major health issue. That's scary. It's scary to me. It's scary to my clients. And I mention it. I know it has a shock factor to it. And I think there's some value to having a shock factor to get you to think about what's right for you. And there's no one right or wrong answer. I'm not saying you should retire early. I don't know your situation. But I do know that most of us are going to be glad that we've been thoughtful and deliberate and thought about, how do I want to spend my time? You know, do I want to keep working? Or do you want to start that next chapter of your life, even if starting that next chapter of your life might be a little bit stressful, might cause a little bit of pain. You know, I think much better to have 6 months of pain than 6 years of regret, because, you know, you didn't retire and then, you know, we have a health issue, we have a stroke, a heart attack, and we can't do these things, and now we're living with regret. I don't want to live with regret, and I don't want you to live with regret, which is why I think the message I'm sharing today is my most important message. And if you ask me what my second most important message is, it'd be this video up here: 8 things to stop doing in your 50s and 60s in order to enjoy the journey until you get to retire. Thanks for watching this video. Bye-bye.